This video is brought to you by DraftKings. Promo code HAM when you sign up.
Download the DraftKings app, promo code HAM. We have weekly games, fantasy golf. You can link our game this week, Wyndham Championship, below in the description, as well as our podcast. We talk a lot of these things they call sports, football, golf, basketball, baseball. You know it. We talk it. Fantasy gambling. We're on it.
The PGA Championship was a wild DraftKings experience. I mean,
it was incredible. Best DraftKings experience of my life.
Oh, I mean, I know this. I talked like JT through my living room all day long. Thank God there wasn't anybody around to get mad about me dropping an F-bomb.
Did you have him on your squad?
I did not have him on my squad, but other people did. I was rooting. That's the beauty with DraftKings is you're not indifferent about anybody. You're either rooting for
misses
your guys,
and makes,
rooting against other people's people. At one point, I was rooting against one of my own guys because he was playing too well and other people had him. So it's a wild dynamic, John.
Is there any better feeling than rooting against a golfer on the tee or shooting a shot, like a shot from the fairway, and having that guy pump it into the trees, or especially an easy shot when it's like 120, they're like an easy little wedge, and he hits it short into the bunker. You're like, yeah!
You know, the funny thing, though,
is a great feeling.
Is like you're rooting for Jason Day. You had him. I'm rooting against him because I need as few people like T1, T2. I had DJ. When you're rooting against the guy, you think every putty's about to hit is going in. And when you're rooting for a guy, you think he's about to miss every 8-footer. So JT had a run. See, now he was interesting because he started he was on fire to start. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Like
Saturday.
4 birdies in the first 5 holes.
He was on fire Saturday.
Sunday morning, he was going nuts.
Saturday when he was playing with Spieth, he went nuts too.
Oh, he was going nuts then too, yep.
Yeah. And then it came apart, and he had an F-bomb on ESPN, and somebody got mad about it.
I do think before we get in the F-bomb, the good thing about a major, when you're rooting against a guy, even when he's going nuts, it's hard. Like at the Wyndham, at some of these courses, when a JT goes nuts, they could shoot 60, right?
Right.
You are going to run into, if you just hit one shot a little wayward, a double's out there on any given hole. That's where it's like you always had to be on the edge of your seat. Justin Thomas, because there were periods all over the weekend, like he could make a run, maybe not to win it, but like get a top 10. He misses a putt on Sunday, and he drops a, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I remembered when Tom Brady did this within the last 5 years on a CBS game. CBS got a bunch of phone calls from the old stiffs, very angry at this. And as you know, a pet peeve of mine in the NBA, when guys get technicals for saying the F word, I'm always troubled when people hold professional athletes, legacies, but to me it's less about legacies. And the one thing we've seen with these younger golfers, they've been very candid about, we're playing for the money. And in football and in basketball and in baseball, you're playing for the championships, but with that comes the money, right? The production, and it's for the money. It's why any of us do most things in life beside like our family stuff for work, for the money. So when you say this, USA Today wrote this article that said this would never be allowed in junior tournaments. You get scolded once, then you get, kicked out. When you're playing for a purse that was $11 million, Colin Morikawa, well, the California taxes only gave him like slightly under $1 million, but won $1.98 million. But the second and third place, they ended up splitting it. But I think second place, if it had been solo, would have been over $1 million.
Yeah.
So I just, the tensions are high. You can't expect these human beings to not be human beings.
There's no doubt. I also think we're just at a time in our history where it used to be you would never drop an F-bomb. I just remember a few years ago watching TV when it's like I'd hear an F-bomb and I'd be like, wait a second, is it 5:30 on TBS? Now maybe it wasn't 5:30. But remember, it used to be like you wouldn't hear it, you'd only hear it on HBO. And then it was like, well, you'd only hear it after 8 o'clock. And now I don't even know what channel I'm on or what time I'm watching. I hear shit. I'm like, whoa, what? Did I just hear that? Am I on Netflix? Yeah. What am I watching? So I do think we got a lot of people, things are evolving. Golf has always been the most uptight. What people are comfortable with as time goes on. I was asking you this, and maybe people who, if you do a lot of Zoom calls or something the last 5 months can tell me, do people cuss on Zoom calls when when it's not an internal meeting? Do people drop F-bombs as frequently on Zoom as they would in a conference room where everybody's in there in person? Somebody tell me in the comments below. I'm very curious about that.
Would imagine it depends on the company culture.
Depends on the company culture for sure. There are still places where it's acceptable, still places where it's not. One place where it's clearly acceptable on the professional sports playing field, right?
Well, I just think.
But I guess what I'm saying is
I
understand.
Alpha males, a lot of money.
No doubt. I also understand why this column gets written. This is the sport where it's been probably the most uptight historically. And on top of that, there's just a lot of people who live in this world who grew up in an era where you would never say something like that around anybody else. Now, I do think on the golf course, even those people used to say it all the time. But, it's about, what about the children, John?
Yeah, and I think the thing with these guys, they've proven, like Tom Brady, Justin, like they treat people well. So you don't get judged when you're playing in your realm of your profession. Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't get to judge that sports columnist when his Word document doesn't save and he's pissed off and he's saying some F-bombs, because that's the same thing. We all, when we get worked up with our individual job, except the cameras are on this guy. But the thing about golf, you don't actually know when the cameras are showing your shot.
That's true. I do have a problem with somebody writes something and then it becomes like, people are saying that people are outraged. It's like, no, a guy wrote a column. And even he didn't feel that outraged when he wrote it, at least in print. But whatever. But that's not – I think most people go, whatever, an F-bomb or two. Who was the guy last week, Joel Damon?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck everybody. We're like, well, that was kind of funny.
I do think there's
I actually
a chance.
said that. I quoted him on the golf course last week myself.
Do you think there's a chance within the next 20 years we have a lot more mic'd up with players and just much more raw swearing and stuff on broadcast?
Yeah,
TV,
but I also don't think you'll just have.
I
I don't think you'll have like Jim Nantz, like, "Hey, everybody, welcome. It's been fucking hot out there today." Like, I don't think you're getting that either, which is fine. I don't think we need that.
Know. See, a little like base. I don't know if we're there. There will be options with stuff like that. I could see.
Yeah, I do think. I'm fine with the swearing. I like it. It does. People almost get too proud of it, like do it just to prove they can do it sometimes, and that to me is also weird. I don't get that totally, but whatever. Yeah, I don't think we're 20 years away.
I don't see Jim doing it, but I could see the next generation of the Nances being a little looser. Who knows? Because like you said, just look at television.
Depends where the broadcast is airing. But.
When you flipped up, like I was watching Yellowstone the other night. Yellowstone's on 9 o'clock, yeah, with Costner on, I don't even know the channel,
AMC,
but it's 9 o'clock.
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
It's one of the, I think it's that, or Paramount.
Oh.
And it's on at 9 o'clock on Sunday, and it's just a cable television network, no different like TBS or whatever. You can say every word you want. And unlimited, it feels like, amount of F-bombs. So you just kind of feel like you're watching a Netflix show, even though it's actually, like you said, what are the rules? No one knows them anymore.
Yeah, at some point, like all the golf sponsors, all the CEOs of their companies have to be cool with everyone dropping F-bomb, right? Once, in terms of like on the broadcast, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the CEO from Wyndham doing the interview with Jim, probably not going to be the first guy to drop a random F-bomb on TV.
Sure.
Oh, man, business has been fucking great, man. It's Wyndham. It's incredible. This tournament and all the fucking charity we do. I mean, think of all the fucking kids we give money to, right? A lot of just...
I mean, what a shit effort by Koepka last week. You're going to talk all that shit, and then just fucking what is going on here?
By the way, we should finish this with our secret favorite underrated curse word or favorite curse word. Maybe you can tell us your favorite one down in the comments below. I think my sneaky, I'm not saying it's the best one. I'm just saying sneaky one of my favorites is horseshit. No one ever says it, but it's got a good, I only hear it in like a good context. So I like horseshit. That's my vote.
Yeah, I feel like the F word now is just becoming very, it's just kind of popular to say. I do think an underrated just word that doesn't even feel that bad, that feels like it's been on broadcast television now for 2 decades. When you say this and you mean it, like you mean the guy is a bad guy when you call a guy an asshole. And I think asshole to me, because it doesn't get used as much, and when you hear it, like that guy,
it almost feels
asshole.
Like it gets underrated
that guy's a bad
now.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You're like, how about that fuck stick? Well, you actually might be like your best friend.
Slappy's a good one, but not as mainstream.
Yeah, you say asshole. To me, it usually resonates. Like you notice when you hear it, like, yeah, that guy doesn't like that guy, right?
I do have to click that this video is not for children when I submit this to YouTube, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Hashtag E.
DraftKings promo code HAM. It'll make you cuss in your living room nonstop.
Let's do it. See ya.